Hello everybody, my name is Ateo and today we're going to be looking at a replay analysis of Hunter 123123, our red player at 32 OS. Let's get into it. Let's get that player view going. Whoops, that was the camera. We just want the player view, not the camera. There we go. Okay. Unpause. Alright, here we go. Off to a good start. Alright, so this one I'm going to go over pretty quickly. I looked through the replay briefly, and there's a lot of great stuff that Hunter is doing here, so I will point out as much of that as I can as we go along. Yeah, so right away he's just opening bots. This is the quote-unquote weak seaside. Grabbing the 3 mexes, adding on some wind turbines, grabbing the bot lab, all pretty normal stuff. Looks like he's going for 4 wind turbines. Looks like he's going to need it as well. You can always cancel the 4th one if the wind starts going pretty high, but here it's pretty low, so that makes sense. All good stuff so far. Alright, bot lab. There's the bot lab. Could add on some more solar or some more wind here. Because yeah, it is quite low, just to boost this out a little faster. It looks like the commander. Oh, okay, no, the commander is helping. There's like a little stream there. It's kind of hard to see, but he is helping the lab. All right, so you get your res bot out. You're eating the trees, getting your energy going. Personally, I would have liked to see your commander maybe add on a couple more wind turbines, mostly because you were out of energy, and that's generally the rule of thumb. Is like if you're out of energy, just add on something ASAP. Assisting a lab while you're out of a resource does not actually do anything, so might as well just like, get some wind and stuff going. Then you have it for later too. Alright, so now you're pushing your commander forward. Ooh, looks like Red Eagle here doing something cheeky with that his commander there. Note that he is the backline player. Usually you want your commander to help with like building at the at your base there. Hunter gets a transport as well, so this is really cool. Just to get your commander up to the front a little bit faster, or up to where you want to put him. Looks like he goes for an Urchin torpedo launcher. Start off with, just in case something happens. Some early defense against things like Dolphins, since it is the weaker side. Makes some good sense. Yellow, meanwhile, I just want to talk about this a little bit because it's pretty cheeky. He comes over here to deny the player from building. I don't know if he killed a shipyard or anything, but I apologize, I missed that. But yeah, I'm not here to cast the game. I'm just here to look over Hunter's game and review it. I was trying to make that as like a little bit of a bonus to see what actually happens there, but I missed it, unfortunately. So yeah, your shipyard's done. Let's see, are you producing on here? You are not. So right away I'm noticing that you are a little bit idle here. And these could be building wins, they could be eating the lab. Just a minor mistake. Something that I just want to mention so that you know that it's, that it was a problem, that it's going to set you back just a little bit. So you start getting your ships out. You're starting with frigates, which I find kind of odd. Usually you want to start out with supporters or dolphins. People often talk about how bad the supporter is, but honestly, like, I've done I've done tests in single player to compare the two, and if you are actually getting enough supporters to match the metal cost and energy cost and build cost of dolphins, the supporters actually do okay against them. They're not, dolphins are slightly better, not like drastically better or anything like that. So I try to keep that in mind so that they can be useful. And they do have the benefit of just having more numbers, whereas dolphins, like, you're putting more costs into a single ship, so, it's like if it gets hit by something heavy, it's a bigger deal. Looks like Yellow's walking back. You transported up to the island here to grab it. Very nice stuff. Just important to grab those mexes ASAP and uncontested. Now, if any of you guys watching are if you like to play air on Supreme Strait, that's definitely somewhere to watch out for. Looks like Tan player here checked the other island, unfortunately a little bit too late. But if you can get if you can get a fighter out there ASAP, you can deny that transport, and it's like going to be huge if you can do that. Um, anyways, Red Eagle is running around with his commander and transports, and Red here just adding on some more wind turbines, all good stuff. Meanwhile, converters to go with those wind turbines, so he's using up his energy properly to get even more metal boost. Meanwhile, adding on just more construction turrets to assist this lab, assist the shipyard, I should say. Even grabbing some bottom mexes down here, which is quite nice. A lot of good stuff here, just lots of like early expansion. It seems like lots of greed, but you're able to get away with it because of what yellow did. So it all works out really well here. Get more ships. Okay, so you got a T2, you're upgrading some mexes. Yeah, this all seems reasonable, because you're going to need more energy as you scale up your T2, so, you know, spending some of that build power on wind is fine. Let's see, you're still cranking out some ships. Looks like mostly frigates, but a couple of other guys like this destroyer. I feel like that's a good ratio as well. Like, frigates are more efficient at ship-to-ship combat than destroyers, but destroyers have the added benefits of attacking subs as well. So it's nice to have, like, you know, some sub protection, but yeah, these are more efficient against ships, so that's quite nice. A little bit of a run by here. Looks like you've already respawned, so that's quite nice as well. Just getting those mexes. Alright, all good stuff. Yeah, so overall, so far, this is like, you know, pretty top tier here. Whoops. Sped up and zoomed in at the same time. That was quite odd. So this is one of the things I do notice about your play, is sometimes there's quite a bit of time, or idle time, with your shipyards and stuff. And it's not as big of a deal here. It's like, I mean, it's kind of a big deal because you kind of want the ships to take out the, you know, your opposing player, right? But at other times, it's like you got like a T3 lab that's idle. You got a, you know, seaplane factory that's idle and other stuff, and you're busy microing. You know, it's like not like you're not doing anything. But ideally, you know, you'd want to, you know, have those still working while you're doing some micros. So just having stuff queued up is nice. Like, and we'll talk about it more later. But yeah, let's talk about it more later. Because I'd rather not just like talk about the end game until we get there. So we'll just hold off a second. Your queue has run out here, so these could be doing something. And on this map, yeah, I mean, wind is great on this map, so why not just build more wind? Got your last mechs there. So yeah, you just got the C mexes left, and you're doing a nice like assault here. One of the things I think that would help you out a lot here, that I've noticed is, you know, you got a lot of ships here that are damaged, and I believe you have some res subs out somewhere, unless they got picked off. I forget what the icon looks like. You'll have to forgive me. Oh, this one, yes. It's the same as the resbot. That makes sense. Alright, so yeah, you at least have one out here that could be repairing, whereas he's just idle otherwise. What I'd like to do is just have my resbots or res subs on repeats, and then just do like an area repair. And then any ship or unit that you put in that area, the res sub will automatically try to repair. So you can do things like, you know, and this is more like, you know, next level micro type stuff. But you can do stuff like, you know, take this guy for instance. You know, you set up your, I assume you're using auto groups, right? But if you do, like, and say these ships are on 1, right? They're like alt 1, so auto group 1. You can actually do stuff like control 2 and bring this guy, like, you know, you select your damaged ships and you do control 2, or you can do even like control tilde, and that'll just remove it from all groups. But actually, yeah, I'd recommend the tilde one. I do it a weird way, so don't mind me on the control 2 thing. That's more has to do with my like StarCraft 2 days. But um, yeah, if you do control tilde, you can remove them from the auto group, send them back to that repair area, and then just keep microing and stuff with your normal 1 key for your auto group 1. And then once they're repaired, you can add them back to the auto group or add them back to the control group, type of thing. And I just find that really helpful. It does get a little bit weird because if you set it as a control group, it overrides anything else that's on that group. So it's not really ideal to just set another control group as 1. So what you would need to do, or actually I think there's probably I think if you hold shift or something, it will add it. So you'd want to use that ideally. I think what I usually end up needing to do, because I forget that tidbit, is I'll just I'll select one of these guys, set it to that auto group, and then deselect those guys that are still in need of repair again. And it's a bit taxing, and I need to work on that personally. But things like that can happen, or it might be a little confusing for setting up your control groups, but ideally, I think that would help you out a lot here, just to get more value out of the ships that you do have. Because ships especially, they cost a lot more metal than, say, like bots and stuff. And so, you have a lot less ships in general, and it's going to be nice to be able to repair some of those. Or you just use, resurrection subs on the fronts, or whatever. That might be more your style. But you do a nice job here cleaning this up. 10 player here coming in here with some gunships, it looks like. Not too much damage though. So that's nice. You basically won C. There's nothing here to contest you anymore. So where do you go from here? You get some resurrection subs out, to reclaim slash, resurrect the Rex. You are a full metal bar though. So whenever I see something like that, I just think to myself like, okay, you could be spending it more efficiently by having more build power, or I need to start like an additional project or something. So it looks like you spend it on this T2 lab. Unfortunately, it's sitting idle for a moment. Whoops. Yeah, ideally you'd be getting out that T2 con. Okay, so you're going straight for missile cruisers. I would say in this position it's not entirely necessary, but if you feel like you can do some damage, it could be useful. My apologies for the annoying pings. That does happen sometimes. Unfortunately, the other side is not doing quite as well. Let's see. So yeah, you still got quite a bit of metal in the bank. You actually have a nice bit of metal here. Let's see. Do you have any T2 converters and stuff like that? It looks like no. Oh, you have the Geo though. Okay, you have the Geo. And I suppose these converters are supplying that, or being used towards that. So I guess that is quite a bit of extra metal. And just the fact that you have like ultimate control over the sea, and just having every single mechs. See, a lot of good stuff here. Okay, so now you're also getting some cruisers out to support those missile ships, I believe. You got a jammer already in place. And some more jammers coming in. Alright, so you're going to have jammers all the way down already. So this is great. This is all really good stuff. Like, they won't be able to touch you. The only thing I think that might be a nuisance would be air. So yeah. You're a little bit weak on air at the moment. Or anti-air, I should say. Okay, but now you're building seaplanes, and now you're going to build swarmers for that anti-air defense. And already they're getting put to work? No, they fly by. Yeah, you could have tracked those maybe a little bit better, but stuff happens. So yeah, your missile ships are doing some nice work. I believe they've been barraging this for a while, so I feel like it's probably dead. Yeah, it's definitely dead. They could be retargeted on some things. You could move up to this area. Whoops, wrong key. You could move up to that area. You could move up to over here. You put down a radar to be able to see where the targets are. Very nice, very good stuff. I feel like oftentimes that's something I need to, tell people. So I'm really glad to see someone doing it. So yeah, you're retargeted now on some of this other stuff. So yeah, I mean, you know what to do. I feel like it's a matter of maybe doing it a little bit faster. Try not to bank up so much metal when you're focused on other stuff by having longer queues and just like anticipating your metal. Like right here is actually a good example, a good thing to talk about as well. So you have this T2 shipyard, you have this seaplane thing, and you built some T2 stuff already. You're now doing seaplanes only, um, which is fine. You can do stuff like that. Arguably, if you needed metal, you'd reclaim this and have a storage for it to go into. So you even get an anti-nuke. Actually, really quick before I talk about that other stuff, I would consider putting this anti-nuke somewhere else. Because if you think about it, all you're really protecting is the anti-nuke and this stuff. And, it's protecting your mexes essentially. If your anti-nuke was here, it could also protect this. Obviously, this is, that's still in danger if you do it there. But you could put it more like here and then put like a secondary one up here somewhere at some point. Just a thought. You want to put it where you're investing, of course, and I think that was just something you overlooked when you were playing. But yeah, going back to the construction stuff here. So one of the things I like to tell people is to try to put your construction turrets centralized so they can basically help with more stuff. Because as it is right now, you're not using the shipyard, and these construction turrets, because you're not using the shipyard, are not doing anything. They're just sitting there idle, not doing anything. So and I understand like your first few your first few construction turrets were placed here so that these two could assist it, and they could assist the T1 shipyard. I would just argue that once these are established, start making them on this side, and push your seaplane platform up here. That way you have more turrets that can hit either the seaplane factory or the T2 factory. And that way you can more easily switch to like, I want this unit or I want that unit. Because yeah, otherwise it's idle and you're gonna work up some extra metal because of that. I mean, arguably you have enough here actually that it's fine. So you could actually just like not even have these or reclaim them. I am also noticing this T2 constructor being idle. Let's see, do you have like every single mex, or I mean you probably have another T2 out here, honestly. Yeah, you do. Let's see, do you have these mexes? Okay, you do not have these mexes. You could get a transport. Let's see, did you ask for a transport or anything? Oh, you did up here. Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, not every player is going to see the chat. I definitely miss the chat a lot, and people get angry at me for it. But I'm so focused on playing that I don't notice it. But yeah, having a transport for your con would be nice to be able to upgrade those mexes. Let's see, at this point in the game, I'm trying to think, do you really need these frigates anymore? Yeah, I'd argue you could reclaim these. Because, I mean, they have so little range that, they're not really going to be able to barrage anything. The only thing that they're somewhat useful for is, if you get attacked out here by, I mean, I guess the only thing that they would actually be helpful for is if it's like spam, like hovercraft spam or something like that. Because they can't hit air, they can't hit subs. So anything under the water or in the air, they can't hit at all. So to me, definitely get rid of these frigates probably. Replace them with stuff like destroyers or cruisers. things that can at least like hit underwater stuff, because oftentimes there's things, um, you know, you got to worry about like ducks and bombs and you know things of that nature that are on the bottom of the water. But also you want to consider, you know, the anti-air as well. Um, you know, you don't have a lot of anti-air out here, or do you? Um, yeah, I mean, I'm not seeing any. I mean, you have some herrings managed to cross this, right? Or just like, yeah, you got a couple. But you do have your fighters, so I guess that's fine. All right. You got some anti-air to deal with anything, so that's good too for now. Um, yeah, so you're starting your Aphis production. You're still building wins, so that's good. You guys unfortunately can't run up that hill to grab that stuff. Yeah, so these are idle, but like it's not that big a deal. Like the trees do not give that much anymore. You know, you have almost an Aphis, so like, yeah, you don't really need it. Yeah, I mean everything seems pretty reasonable at this point. You know, except for, you know, obviously you could, you know, upgrade these metal extractors. That would be the next really good thing to do, of course. I'm trying to think of like, you know, you're of course asking for a transport, and you're not getting the transport. You know, actually, while you ask, I don't know if you did it with the ping, but if you didn't do it with the ping, you could do it with a ping, and it might be easier for the other person to see it. Like if you pinged right here, T2 transport. You know, then hopefully they would see that to actually give you one. But yeah, since they didn't, I mean, you got some good economy, so I mean, you could potentially build a T1 constructor to build a T2 air lab just for the T2 constructor. Or just, you know, or actually, you could just get a T1 factory just to get the transport. You know, so there's different options here. Obviously, you know, a T2 air constructor is not going to build the mechs all that fast by itself. You know, so like you might want to just do transport so you can just like ferry over a couple of construction turrets or whatnot. Anyways, I feel like I talked about that quite a while. But yeah, I think those different options would help you a lot here. Yeah, overall this looks great. There's really not too much to be said here. You even do this like nice little bombing run here. And it's funny he came in with those you know, seaplanes or torpedo bombers I should say at that time. So yeah, you get this nice bombing run. Quite nice. I mean, you get all the build power, that's one of the important things, right? Unfortunately, the air player does respond, so you don't get a ton done, but yeah, to me that was worth it. Let's see, torpedo bombers are not coming in. Yeah, unfortunately your fighters are back here. They could be a little bit closer, but yeah, you run the risk of running into like long-range anti-air and stuff like that. But yeah, just a response, I guess. But then again, there's so few torpedo bombers that it was pretty much fine anyways. What was this guy attacking at this point? So yeah, it looks like another manual attack. I guess, yeah, that's the other thing is to, like, try to, you know, like, it's good that you're manually attacking, but, like, you know, remember to go back and switch it up. In fact, there's a widget, actually. Let me talk about this really quick. There's a widget that does single volley attack. Like, it's just like you hit the hotkey and then you know, you hit the different locations you want to hit just once. In this case, for this missile cruiser, like, you know, say you're killing this Geo, it's gonna take more than one shot, right? So like you'd maybe want to do like, you know, a couple spots over there, and then move on to the next spot, and then the next spot, and the next spot, type of thing. And then you could even like shift Q, like move over here, you know, take out this and this and this and this, you know, and go on from there. It's pretty helpful. I'll try to remember to leave a link to it, assuming that it's still in the widgets thing. Um, yeah, if you need help installing widgets, you know, let me know. Or there's also help in the widgets, one of the widgets channels. All right, let's see what's going on here. So now you're getting a T3 factory, so this is nice. You got the metal fort for sure. You got 2 Aphis. You know, you even got some Junos back here. Not that it's terribly necessary at this point because they don't really have jammers around. But you got your bases covered in a way. I guess the other thing to consider would be the pinpointers. You know, check to see if your team has pinpointers, because that can be helpful, especially for, you know, longer range stuff like I mean, I guess like you know flagships, you know, are always going to attack like an area instead of a target, right? So it wouldn't be terribly helpful for that, but like it would just be helpful for the team. Pretty minor stuff, but like, you know, if you're trying to help even more or matter even more, like that might be something. So I assume out of here you're producing Marauders. Yeah, you got Marauders going out. Another Aphis going up. Another good thing is you are switching to that's Armada Aphis, you know, because it is a bit cheaper, right? Or do I have it backwards? 97, 769. Oh no, okay, so actually it's the other way around. I had it backwards. My apologies. So the Cortex Aphis is cheaper. I mean, it's just cheaper on energy. It's not really that big a deal. You know, 48,000 compared to 69,000. Yeah, so the Cortex Aphis is a little bit energy cheaper. Not that it's whoa. Why did it what? That's really weird. Oh, I think my finger accidentally hit one of the number keys and put it on someone else's view. That's why that happened. But yeah, no, ideally you'd want these as Cortex. Not that it's a big deal because it's just a little bit of energy. It's just going to slow down a little bit, or could slow down your energy slightly as you build more of them. But yeah, Marauders, all good stuff. You know, at this point, you're pretty safe. So like, again, like with what I was talking about before, with putting, actually I didn't mention this in this video, I'm sorry, I've been doing a lot of reviews lately. So I'll mention it now. So besides just like having your construction turrets more centralized, like I was talking about up here, I like to have it centralized between my unit production and my energy production. Obviously at this point, like, you know, this far into the game you have several Aphis, and, you know, adding more construction turrets, you know, wherever it's really not that big a deal in terms of money. So this is totally fine. I'm not saying it's not at all. But yeah, what I like to tell people is to have it more centralized so it can hit the production here and hit economy, and then you can flip and flop between the two depending on how you know, what you perceive as necessary. You know, like obviously right now you dominate the sea, you have a controlling position over all this stuff. You know, so you can do whatever you want in terms of economy or units. You know, you don't have you're not going to feel unsafe in a way. But you could flip-flop between like, hey, I want all my construction turrets on my Aphis, or all of them on my T2 or T3 or whatever, you know, lab you have. But yeah, at this point it doesn't really matter. But what I will say is you could maybe add, well, I don't know. I suppose this is perfectly fine, honestly. I was gonna say, like, you could add on more here if you felt like you wanted to really crank out T3. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a hard decision to make because, you know, economically speaking, you're at a point where it's like, yeah, you could just stop building the economy and just produce units. and then have this nice big ball of, say, Marauders just pushing there. Which can do a lot, but then it's like, well, if it for some reason doesn't work, now you're behind on economy, whereas other people might have like 8 or 9 or so APHIS. You know, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is, you might be doing this already, but I thought I'd just point it out. Is start thinking about what is your end game going to be. And I've liked a lot that you've been switching it up. You've got your boats, you owned the water, and then you got your seaplanes and did a nice bombing run. So all these things have made a difference. So you are making a big difference already. What was I gonna say? Shoot. Oh yeah, but yeah, it's one of the harder things to figure out. Like, can I? Is there a play I can make that will just end the game now? Instead of like giving them a chance to catch back up. Is there something I can do? And the Marauders are a nice choice. The seaplanes were a nice choice. But yeah, it's sort of like thinking about what is the big play I want to try to go for at this point. And trying to figure that out. It might be a rapid fire long range plasma cannon, or it might be like adding on a flagship to force some plasma defenses. Although that's more like intermediary, that's not really going to end the game, but it will slow them down, I guess. It could be just like massing up a ton of bombers and having like a big like force of bombers as well as fighters, and you just like bomb as much as you can. I don't know, there's a lot of things you can do. Well, I guess I'm just gonna have to click this button. But yeah, I mean, I really don't have too much to say about this replay, honestly, because a lot of it looks pretty good. Yeah, like I was saying before, so earlier I was talking about how I saw some idle labs once in a while, and I just feel like, it's good that you're switching up what you're doing to keep your opponent guessing. But at the same time, like okay, so right now you're doing this bombing run. I think you stop production here in a moment. 3, 2, yeah. So you have like a finite number of bombers that you're going for, right? So once they're all done, I would argue before going in like this, before sending this big force in, queue up your next play. Your next plan or next play. Either, it might be, Marauders, it might be more APHIS, it might, whatever the heck it is, queue it up ahead of time so that it started while you're microing. Okay, it looks like you're actually doing Marauders with this airplay, so that's actually a double whammy. Because it kind of feels like you're trying to go all in with this play, but to me, it's like knowing that it might not work, or it might do some damage but not finish them. Try to have something else in mind already kind of planned out, so that you start producing it instead of floating right here, because this is a kind of a big deal. Now of course it's going to your team, so it's not like the worst thing in the world, but ideally you would be already utilizing your build power to work on the next plan. And then of course coming back here to micro, you want to set all that up before you go in, and as you go in, you just do the micro stuff. I think that's probably one of the bigger things that I would say about this video, is just trying to pre-plan some of that stuff out. You'll have to forgive me, I'm quite tired today, plus I'm trying to work in a whole bunch of reviews, so I'm trying to do these quickly. But yeah, overall, I mean, you guys are winning. The game's like, at a good state. You did some nice damage to blue here. Did some nice damage back here. All really good stuff. Um, One of the plays that I think is often neglected or forgotten about, or maybe some people don't know this, but doing like an EMP on the anti-nukes and using nukes to kill can be nice. A little bit riskier slash harder to do, but I mean, if you're not banking everything on it, it's totally fine. You know, at this point, like a nuke launcher is not going to be that expensive. Um, I mean, and actually, you just got in here and you know that there's no anti-nuke, at least in this area, because you were just there. Um, but obviously, there's one back here that you do know about. And the way to know about it is to see the ring. Whoops. There's like this white ring around here. Goes all the way around. But so, what you do, in case you don't know about this, you know, you use a ghost or a specter, which is, you know, what's it called? They're stealth and cloaked. You know, so the enemy can't see them whatsoever unless they bump into something. You send them in. You go up to the EMP launcher. You know, and on a map like this, like you could maybe ferry one over or something. You know, using a transport or something. Or, you know, if your front line is doing well enough, you could just push it up the side. But anyways, you get a ghost up to there, anti-nuke, and self-detonate. And that'll stun it for 20 to 30 seconds. So that's a 20 or 30 second window that the anti-nuke is offline and you can nuke. I say that not as something you have to do or anything. I just say that as like, you know, to I guess add another possibility or another play to your book that you could use to disrupt the enemy and win the game. It's very annoying to deal with if they actually are able to get up to the anti-nuke. Yeah, because it's like Marauders can do a lot, but eventually, like, they're going to, you know, people get used to playing against them and stuff, so they're kind of limited in how much they can actually do. So here you're working on some T1 constructors. I mean, here you could probably get away with just 2 labs. Like, actually, out of an air lab, you can produce a ton of stuff very quickly, so you can actually do a lot less labs here. It's more hindered by the build power. I mean, then again, they're basically free, so it's really not that big a deal. 500 metal income. But yeah, your income's high enough that you could also, like, in addition to doing all this, you could also be doing some other stuff. Now, of course, you're limited on build power, so you might want to build some like additional build power here, or additional build power up here, just to crank out stuff ASAP. So yeah, I guess I could give you some more things to add to your playbook, just things to think about for late game. One of my favorites that I haven't actually done myself, but I think is very good on Supreme Strait. I just personally don't play a lot of Supreme Strait, so I don't really get to utilize this idea, but hovercraft spam. You know, you do the same thing as if it's like tick or pawn or grunt spam, and you know, you get a bunch of construction turrets by some hovercraft stuff. You know, either in the water or on land, it doesn't matter. And you just spam like a big army of it, and then you just run in there. It's pretty simple. It's pretty effective. You know, there's not that much that they can do about it. It's like quite like it's hard to know about it because you control the sea, right? You know, it's hard to see that stuff coming. And when they do see it coming, it's going to be hard for them to prepare defenses that quick. You know, the defenses for that would be, you know, things like, you know, the pop-up flame or lightning turret. You know, there's the twin guard and the beamer. You know, things like that are good against spam, or just, you know, there's anti-spam units too, of course. But yeah, that's another option. I've definitely seen it be quite effective. In fact, it's quite effective against what you have too, if there's enough of them. So it's quite good. Another option could be to do more of an amphibious play. Like obviously Marauders are quite nice, you know, to run in there and do some damage like you did. Um, you know, but given your metal income, you could actually be doing that, or you could actually field a much bigger Marauder ball to do it with. But yeah, I mean, you could do it with tanks, you could do it with bombs. You know, I think it's quite fun to do it with bombs, especially Cortex scuttles. Scuttles are they're cloaked. They're not. Gosh, I don't know how I keep forgetting this word. Um, Jeez. They're not stealth. That's the word. They're not stealth, so I mean, they will show up on radar. But potentially, if you have like a bunch of them, you know, you spread them out a little bit, but if you have a bunch of them, you could potentially do something. That'd be more of an earlier play. Um, you know, before people are running around with like a bunch of Marauders and stuff. Um, you know, you could do that. You could do ducks, or you could do what's the other one? I keep wanting to call them pelicans because that's what they were in Total Annihilation, but um, platypus. Yeah, ducks or platypus. There's the amphibious tanks. There's all the hovercraft stuff. Um, and there's other T3 units that can go underwater. I forget what they are. In fact, I don't know if Armada really has any other ones, but I think there's some other ones that can do it. I know Titans can probably cross it too, but you know, just some ideas, I guess. It's kind of choose your own adventure, and I think you get that already. You're doing, you know, you're mixing it up with like airplane stuff, so you do what you want to do. And yeah, I think that pretty much covers it all. You did a lot of things quite nicely. But yeah, to sum up some of that stuff, I would argue to you know, try to centralize your build power up here when you're doing this stuff. Like in between the two labs, like try to plan that out before you build like a bunch of them out of position. You know, maybe eat some of these T1 ships, like the what are they called? The frigates, because they're not really necessary. Actually, did you eat them? No, here they are. Because yeah, they're not really doing anything. By eating them, you'd be able to maybe, you know, get your T2 a little bit faster or something like that, or whatever it is, a little bit faster. But yeah, lots of good play overall. So yeah, that, eating your stuff. Yeah, and maybe just build in your own transports to upgrade these mexes would be helpful. And I think that pretty much covers it. Suppose the match is pretty much over. I'd be surprised if you guys lost. And unfortunately, with this many units running around, I can't speed it up any further. This is how fast it goes. Just basically normal time. Like I clicked the 20 times plenty of times and it's not going any faster, so I was thinking about watching it to the end, but honestly it's gonna just take too long, so I'll wrap it up here. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. There's, you know, just a few things to maybe improve on with this. Otherwise I'd say your build here in this position is quite good. I would actually suggest maybe venturing onto other maps to you know, learn the ins and outs of those maps as well, because you do quite nicely here. And yeah, thanks for watching.